Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival is set to return in this September. Mariel Brown joins us. She is the co-founder and interim executive director of FilmCo, the Filmmakers Collaborative of Trinidad and Tobago. She is also the spokesperson for TTFF 20. Good evening, Mariel. How are you this evening?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. And it seems as though we're hearing each other well, so we can move forward from there.
Yeah, I can hear you well. I'm deeply relieved.
As am I. How have practitioners been during this season? And I see season as in the COVID-19 pandemic.
In what sense? I mean, obviously, filmmakers, people have had to, it's had a fairly devastating effect on the industry because so many jobs had to be cancelled in the initial wave. And now it seems that that's happening again. So it's not been a great time to be a filmmaker. It's not a great time for cinemas. It's a difficult time for our industry, very, very difficult. And that's part of the reason that the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival sort of made the determination to go ahead, because we've got to be able to show actual support for the stakeholders that we service. The whole raison d'etre of the festival is to show Caribbean films and by Caribbean filmmakers. So we've been working on the festival for most of the year, actually, and just kind of bobbing and weaving and adapting and changing our plans, adjusting our plans as required, you know.
And we want to talk about those plans in just a bit. But before the actual announcement of the festival in September, you all have been doing things online. What has that pivot been like? Have you found that more people are subscribing? What kind of conversations have you been having?
We made a decision very early on, as soon as sort of lockdown measures started to be instituted in Trinidad, that instead of stopping our events, we would actually magnify our work, in meaning we would do more to engage with our stakeholders, and we would simply do that in the online space. So actually the film festival ran the Watch a Movie on Us streaming series. We showed 22 films to over 30,000 people online. So that was an enormous success, and that was made possible with the sponsorship of the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago. At the same time, FilmCo, so just to clarify, FilmCo is the organization that is now putting out the film festival every year. So it's a project of FilmCo. So at the same time, FilmCo started having all our workshops online. Again, we decided not to pull back, but actually to press forward with determination and to provide as many opportunities for people to continue improving their skills and getting professional development. And it went well. It's been going really, really well. And I think that we made the pivot very quickly and very naturally. We're all working remotely. We're doing that again. And having people participate with us online has happened relatively easily. Of course, with lockdown measures being eased, people's attentions have been diverted all over the place. But it's actually been a really interesting exercise for us, and it gave us the confidence to have the film festival online this year, both the Watch a Movie on Us screening series as well as all our educational programming that we've had online.
And just before I ask you, what kind of workshops have you had online? One of the reasons I asked is because I had a conversation with someone else, and they said where normally when they would host the events that they would have on an annual basis, on a physical sense, they would get 300, 400, 500 people. Now, when they had them online, one, they had them in the thousands, and two, they realized that their impact, or their reach rather, was so much larger. So there were people from the diaspora, people from different countries, looking, tuning in, and being able to interact, ask questions, and get those answers real time.
Right. So our workshops have been. We've done all kinds of things. We've done 2 6-week screenwriting workshops online. We've done a sort of 3-week acting workshop online. I mean, it's sort of really kind of run the gamut of things that we have taught. We did a build your, obviously films need to have WordPress, need to have websites. So we did a build your own WordPress website for dirt cheap online. We've done all kinds of workshops online. And so on the one hand, it's allowed our participants from around the Caribbean to participate. Obviously, marketing to those people and getting the message out to those people is one of the challenging things, right? So yes, you're open to anybody who wants to buy a ticket and attend, but you actually have to find a way to reach those people to let them know that your things are happening. So actually, one of the things we've decided to do now is we're sending out our press releases Caribbean-wide to try and get the message out to the whole region about what we're doing and the availability of our programming. So I wouldn't say that we have experienced anything in the hundreds in terms of our workshops, but we have felt satisfied that it was absolutely worth the effort and that we found a kind of method that allowed us to interact with our stakeholders and provide meaningful workshops during a really, really difficult time. And our job is to come up with the ways of doing it, come up with the programming, and try and connect to people, and then hopefully people will embrace.
That connection is so important. But in connecting with membership and partners, have there been reports of practitioners accessing the relief grants? We know that, and there was actually a video that I saw on the Facebook page saying, making this distinction, letting people know that it was not Filmco that was responsible for the grants, but just in terms of like sharing that information and making sure that people know, okay, well, this is something that you can apply for. How has that been? What is that process like?
All we have done, obviously, Filmco is now, actually, we've been working with a whole cross-sectoral sort of collaborative effort it's been to kind of get the government to understand the kind of people who are working in the film sector as sort of what we call the members of the informal economy. And initially, the informal economy wasn't being acknowledged in the way that the grants were being dispersed. So actually, we worked with a really talented woman, Janine Charles Ferre, who brought a whole lot of people in the creative industries together for a series of meetings to help kind of send a message about how the grant should be crafted slightly differently. So what we were able to do was we were able to provide for those who needed it, Film TT as well as Filmco could provide verification of people's positions within the film industry and television industry. And then they were then able to apply for the grants. Because of course, so many people in our industry are basically just jobbing freelancers who are going from kind of, shoot to shoot. They don't work for a company per se, and so we had to sort of find a way to make sure those people were being captured and considered in the grant scheme. And Janine did a marvelous job getting everybody together and asking all the right questions and having the right kinds of discussions and knowing where to direct that information. And so what Filmco was able to do was, like, for example, with Film TT, we had an info session in which we tried to share information on how to apply for the grant schemes with our stakeholders. And we see ourselves as kind of an organization that's job is to support our industry in whatever way we can. So in terms of kind of helping to disseminate the grant call, etc. I know that some people have applied and there were people who were really having a difficult time actually getting the grants. Again, we went back to the drawing board with Janine and had further discussions. So, I mean, but it's a really difficult time, right? I mean, it's a difficult time for people. It's a difficult time for the government. It's just a really hard time. So whatever we can do, we will continue to try and do.
And speaking of continuing, we continue this conversation. We will be focusing on TTF 20. When we return, we're speaking with Mariel Brown. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are speaking with Mariel Brown, spokesperson for the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival. And Mariel, what is the scope of this festival? And I ask because you said, as opposed to saying, okay, we're folding, we're going to shut ourselves, we're going bigger and better. So what are we looking at for TTF 20?
I'm not sure that we're going bigger than better. I think we are pushing forward with gusto.
Thank you for that.
Obviously, because, I mean, a great part of the film festival experience is bringing filmmakers into Trinidad and having the filmmaker community locally interacting one-on-one with the international filmmaker community and having that shared experience with physical audiences, you know, so this is going to be different. But I feel as though just because it's different, it doesn't mean it can't be special, and it doesn't mean it can't have meaning for the filmmakers who are sharing their films and premiering their films at TTFF. So what we have in store is essentially a full schedule of events and screenings that will take place in the online space. So in much the same way as every year TTFF would program roughly 130 films, we have programmed 120 films this year from all around the Caribbean and the diaspora. A lot of people, a lot of filmmakers from Trinidad, this is their first film, this is the first time they're sharing a work of theirs with an audience. So it's really, really important that people support. So just as if you were going to Movie Town, you would buy a ticket online, watch a movie or watch a block of movies, be able to participate with the question and answer session with the filmmakers during that day, because we're going to be having our Q&A sessions online as well.
So this so those question and answer sessions still happen, you're saying?
Yes, they are. We are actually in the process right now because what's interesting about this that in the past, the Q&A sessions would happen in real time, in real life, with the filmmakers who were in Trinidad. Now, Q&A sessions can happen with all the filmmakers, no matter where in the world they are. So actually, it's a real treat for audiences because you'll be able to talk to any of the filmmakers. And we're making sure we're going to schedule in. We've actually just had a meeting to discuss how we're going to do it. We're scheduling daily blocks of Q&A sessions during the film festival so that the filmmakers can engage with their audiences. You know, we have a full slate of industry events. Some of them are ticketed, some of them are free of charge. Some of them will happen via Zoom, some will happen via Facebook Live. I mean, we have really worked incredibly hard to make this a rich, vibrant experience. And so that people understand that we are putting on a real film festival with real films and quality films and real industry events and workshops and training sessions. It's just that they're going to happen online, you know. Today we announced our opening night film, which is a film which I hope Trinidadians will watch and come and engage with us. And on the opening night online, we're having our opening night event online. And so I'm hoping lots of people will get tickets and watch the film, both in Trinidad and around the Caribbean, cricket lovers. It's called 501 Not Out, and it really charts Brian Lara's record-breaking innings where he scored 501 runs not out. And it was made by a lifelong cricket lover, a lifelong cricket fan, and I'm hoping it'll take people back to that moment to remind them of that just remarkable achievement of Brian Lara's.
And it's very interesting with that happening, with the CPL having started today. People are looking at the competition with bated breath, as we do at this point in time when it comes to cricket. But in terms of getting those tickets, how do people avail themselves of the tickets, one, and also in terms of getting an idea of the schedule so that people can say, okay, well, this is a family movie, we're home, we can look at it with our family or loved ones in the house. How do people do that?
Okay, so what is happening is actually on our website right now, if you go to ttfilmfestival.com, you'll be able to see, and you go into the film and index tab, you'll be able to see all the films that are showing in this year's festival. And you'll be able to get a sense of showtimes, etc. We are actually having a press conference on the 26th of August when we will formally announce our film lineup and formally reveal the film lineup and our guide, because we did do a printed guide, which we will distribute all over the place so people can pick up their copies free of charge. They can also download their guide free of charge online. And then, of course, every day during the festival, there's the daily schedule, which will pop up on ttfilmfestival.com. So really, if people wanted to start looking now and getting a sense of some of the films we're showing, go to ttfilmfestival.com and start clicking through the film index, and you'll be able to see some of the things we're showing. If you want to buy a ticket for the opening night film, you can do so online at ttfilmfestival.com. On the homepage, there's actually a button down below that says buy tickets. Go there and you'll see tickets for the opening night as well as for our industry events. So you can buy tickets online, you can call up our office and book tickets. Sorry, not book tickets. You can pay for tickets via online bank transfer. You can come into our office and buy tickets as well. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for people to buy tickets for the films, whether or not they have a credit card.
All right, now we have about 1.5 minutes more, and I want you to tell us there's a new prize category for student filmmakers, and there's also a masterclass. So I want to dedicate that last minute towards those two topics. Thank you.
Okay, so this year for the first time, the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival has actually launched a new category for submissions and prizes, which is the Best Student Film Award. I mean, we got so many submissions for this from all over the world. And it's wonderful because every year the TTFF would always program UE student films, but there wasn't a way for UE students particularly to get the kind of recognition and the kind of assessment of their work that they needed within that film festival structure, which is why we came up with the student film category, because there is a competition section. So there was a short list of the best films that was done. Then there's a jury for the student films category, and the jury is, reviewing all the films that have been shortlisted by our programmers. So it's actually a really serious thing, and hopefully people who do well within the student films category will be able to have that kind of as a badge of honor moving forward in their careers. This is really meant to support the early careers of emerging talent.
Definitely, and you see that individuals are looking for these kind of opportunities because you're talking about the inflow of submissions that you have received. But we have been putting up information re the website. So we want to thank you so much, Mariel Brown, and we thank you and the work that you all are doing. We're looking forward to TTFF. Remember, it starts 501 not out, so we look forward to that. And we also want to thank you on behalf of the entire news team for joining us tonight, or this evening rather. I'm DK Roster. Have a good night.